Step right up, it's time to hear the cleverest show of the year. AI catch up, brighter tone, every week in your living room.
What's up, guys?
Well, hey, everyone. It's another AI catch-up episode. Today we're talking about lovable.dev. It's a vibe coding platform. And for those that don't know what vibe coding is, that's just using AI to create some software, in this case, some websites.
So why would I want to do this, Brooks? I'll ask you right away. Why would I want to do this instead of whatever the normal way is? Because there's all kinds of things people think is the normal way. Why would I want to do this? And I think there's an answer. I want to hear you say.
Yeah. So just a few years ago, it would have taken thousands of dollars, weeks and months of effort to create content that create a website that's actually usable for someone to use for something. What we're going to create is a landing page today for a plumbing company, but this would have taken weeks, if not months, thousands of dollars, and just beating your head against the wall from a copy perspective, trying to get exactly what it's supposed to say, get your brand guide dialed in, all those types of things. I personally had experience doing that. So,
and then why wouldn't I just make like a Wix AI website? Like, why wouldn't I just go to your basic easy click website maker and just go easy button? So
I would say the biggest reason to use one of these tools is one, it's going to create a much richer experience than what you get on Wix. You have a database backend for things. You have the ability to change and update your brand guide and all those.
Yeah.
And then you also get a backend database that actually does something real with Lovable.
So there's using natural English language to code your page and to build the back end and the front end. It's you get an entire, you can essentially do it with English, and the site is already, you're using AI, the latest versions of AI to essentially think through how the web page is structured. So you can go in as a complete novice and produce something that's exceptional.
Cool. All right.
So here's lovable.dev. And Mike, I want to talk us through this. I know you've used this a bunch.
Yeah. I've made about 7 websites using it, and it's probably the most accessible of the vibe coding tools. So there's Cursor, there's Replit, there's Bolt, there's various tools, and there's probably new ones that are coming out as we speak. But Lovable is now one of it's one of the best, and also the leader in the industry, just for getting people up and easy to use on board. And so anyway, this is what it looks like. You start out on the main page, and you have a prompt. You can literally just type into it like you do in ChatGPT or Grok. You can add images. It can be public or private. Anyway, yeah, that's the prompt we have. Create a landing page for a plumbing company, contact page, services section. And I think, Brooks, you just clicked it. What did you just click it, Brooks?
I thought I did. Here, let me try this one.
Yeah, click that one. Yeah.
There we go.
All right, so when you click it.
Oh, I think I selected agent mode, and that's why. Since we're on the free version, we should not be using agent mode. Turn that off. All right, so create a plumbing company.
Yeah, we can go back to the main page, or we can do it there. Yeah, let's start it. There we go.
All right, so create a landing page for a plumbing company with a contact page, services section, and an about us section.
Perfect. There we go.
So it's a very familiar setup to anybody that's been using Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini, that you have your chat in one column, and then in the larger column, you'll see the progress being made.
And what's interesting, different, what's slightly different about those other tools is it has connections to other things. So Supabase is a backend database that a lot of people have been using lately because it has a bunch of features packed into it. But basically that allows you to have like an admin section or a place where users sign up and they can log in and out, and then you can have protected things. It also gives you access to add a paywall and things of that nature too.
Yeah. So if, for example, you're selling goods or services, you can connect the website to Stripe, and then it will integrate. And you can use natural English language for it to integrate with Stripe. So as long as you have a Stripe account set up, it'll integrate. You could also use the website to create and vibe coding tools for other people, like or to ChatGPT's OpenAI, or to one of the other tools. And then if you instruct Lovable, it'll ask for the API key, and then you can connect that. So you can do quite a few things with this Lovable creator as you're creating your website, that will allow you to put simple to complex features. And right now it's still spinning up the main page. Brooks, could you scroll down on the left-hand side there? So while it's thinking, it's essentially saying that it's going to create a hero section with strong call to action, and a services showcase, and about us contact page, and a clean modern layout with subtle animations.
And let me ask the two of you, because I think one thing that I find people don't do enough is using like ChatGPT and our other LLMs to help you with a prompt to use a tool like Lovable or Notebook or anything you're doing. Do you all use, when you're creating these sites, ever use like a ChatGPT to say, hey, I'm going to do a site in Lovable. Can you give me a real rich prompt to do this?
Yes. So if you're a beginner, you don't necessarily need to do that. You could start, and then it'll go through the process of creating a site. But you can totally go into ChatGPT, tell it what you're going to do, and then it'll produce a robust prompt for you, and then you can put it into Lovable.
So since I clicked off the page, it's still loading, and once it finishes loading, we can go through it. But I also pulled up the community page.
Oh, so is that the so is this like a marketplace, Brooks, essentially, for just tools that you can pop in, modules?
Yeah, so actually this is what people have launched on Lovable. So while that's loading, I figured I would just pull this up. So here's the page. It's kind of going through it now, and it should load here shortly. But these are pages that others have built and launched with Lovable. And the nice thing about Lovable is that not only can you build it all, but then you can also host it there too. So there's not like a lot of technical things that you need to learn and do when it comes to copying the code and then placing it somewhere, hosting it someplace. Some of the other tools like a Cursor or a Windsurf, they're more professional kind of style tools where you need to have a good understanding of software development, launching things. These just make it really easy for you to build something quickly and then post it quickly.
Nice.
So, Brooks, I think that there's an error on the build. So, yeah, there you go. So if there's an error in the build, then what Lovable will do is it'll say, try to fix the error. And then it will say, for the code present, I get the error below, think step by step through this and fix it. And then it'll go through automatically and fix the error. It'll go find the error and then fix it. So all we're going to do is click a button. There you go. Now you try to fix it again.
And so it's trying to find a proper emoji to use as part of an icon. And it's choosing the wrong name. And once it finds the right one, it should fix this.
So to emphasize, for anyone that can read the language that they're programming in, you don't have to particularly know programming at all. You can just read basic English and then achieve your business goals with lovable.dev.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm seeing people launch full-on startup style businesses in weekends just using these tools.
Wow. And the great thing is you have the catch-up team. If all this looks, achievable but complicated and you go, gosh, I'd like someone to help me through it or do it, reach out to the catch-up team. Part of what we're here to do is to catch you up on what these tools do and that they exist and what's happening with them, but also to help you and your team or your organization through any of these stages. So absolutely, for anybody that wants to reach out to us through social media, through LinkedIn, through the AI catchup.live, Brooks prepares courses for all of our catch-ups, and we're happy to learn your custom needs and help solve your problems. So it's only been a few minutes, and now we have a website that looks pretty cool.
And to David's point earlier about going into another tool and getting a rich prompt, that's how you can really control these things without giving too much. It came up with the color scheme, essentially a brand guide. It came up with a fake phone number and some copy on exactly what you would need from a plumbing perspective. You get a free quote. You can make it. You can call. We can see the services that are listed here. You can even get a quote with a form because we told it to give us a form. And this would have taken weeks back and forth with people and thousands of dollars just a few years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. And I think that's one of the best, just what you mentioned, Brooks. Like in the past, I'd have to explain as an entrepreneur or somebody leading it, I'd have to explain to my tech people, well, put into words what my brain's thinking, Now with these tools, it can just kind of understand what you're thinking, especially if you have trained your ChatGPT or your Claude. That's where you might want to get a prompt because may understand you better than you want to articulate right then. But it is pretty amazing just what you came up with just that minor prompt.
And so what I'm going to do is, since this knows about the catch-ups, we've signed up for a ChatGPT account with our AI catch-up account, and it knows what we've talked about before. I'm going to ask, since you know me, please provide a prompt for a lovable.dev website.
I would say to demonstrate to our audience. So just by asking ChatGPT for a demonstration product, it's giving us the prompt. And for anyone who says, great, but my business is specific to this region with this context, you can edit the prompt and put in your phone number, your address, your industry, etc. And there's no need for this to be done in 3 minutes. You could definitely take half an hour and sit with the tool and figure out what's the color scheme, what's the region, the details that matter.
All right, so this is going to create, the vibe is Vox meets Daily Show meets Hacker News, insightful, witty, and allergic to BS. So we'll see what this comes up with. And while that's going, we can look at some of these other pages that have also been launched. There was an interesting one here. This is a real-time monitoring site. Let me get to that.
So these are other users that have posted their results, that publicize their results.
Yes. So extract, analyze, and export data from your website with our enterprise-grade scraping platform. These guys built a full-on product with this. They're actively outselling. Go to another one. This is an interesting one. Validate your startup idea. This is actually going to generate it and then validate it.
This is what I was talking about earlier, where you could build in a natural English language tool, like an AI tool, into your site by connecting to the API on the back end, and Lovable will walk you through how to do that.
Wow. So essentially, you're borrowing the powers of ChatGPT on your website.
Right.
Yeah.
There's layers to this. Lovables it's built on top of something, and then it builds sites that also incorporate the power of an LLM. So you can have there's layers to it. So
it looks like these guys aren't fully online yet, so we'll try another one. Let's actually see where this other site is. Here we go. It looks like it finished already. That was quick.
Wow. So inside of about 90 seconds to 2 minutes, we made a new website for the AI catch-up.
So AI news without the nonsense, the smart, hype-free guide to AI in 2025 and beyond. We cut through the BS so you don't have to. It's got episodes. You can stay in the link with the subscribe button. It's a newsletter function you can subscribe to as well. And again, with very little prompting. And I think it did it faster because the prompt was a little more comprehensive, because we specifically told ChatGPT that we were doing this in lovable.dev. So it came back with something that was more in line or designed with what Lovable has, so that it didn't take as long and run into nearly as many errors.
So Brooks, could we go back to the plumbing site and then connect,
Yes.
go to the contact section to show the form, and then if there, it has an intake form. Okay, great. And then we can connect that to Supabase. So let's prompt Lovable and say, connect. So Lovable created the front end, the user interface. We want to connect it to the back end so that all the information that someone who visits the site puts into the contact form, it goes and stores in the database.
So it collects all the
Supabase.
information from people clicking your website, and it puts them in a place that's only visible to your business and not to the people who browse your website.
Right. And here's an amazing thing about this. Lovable and Supabase are two different entities, but the English language of Lovable connects with the AI in Supabase, and Supabase will set up the back end through your prompts in Lovable. So it'll go in and create a full-on database for all your website stuff on the back end, which you can go into Supabase and verify. And then you can prompt in Supabase if you want. But yeah, so you can essentially, Lovable will create the front end user interface experience and then also connect it to the back end where all your data is stored. All right.
And from a security standpoint, I mean, do you think this is rich? And I know, Brooks, you deal with a lot of, just different admin sites and PHP, MySQL. So it is Supabase. They've been raising a ton of money. But do you feel like that's as rich and a same experience or equal, or what do you think?
Well, for me, I just feel like, a database is kind of a database, and they all sort of have their pros and cons. Supabase uses a database in the back end called Postgres, and Postgres is it's actually pretty small. It's older than MySQL, but it's actually people have really been using that a lot in the last 5 to 6 years, and it's really become the Silicon Valley startup, if you will, database of choice. And then Supabase built a bunch of tools on top of it just to make it really easy to deploy that. It includes logins and logouts, and it just makes things a little bit more secure. You have a little bit less things that you have to build around it because they're there for you. They've already built it there for you.
Is Postgres, is that like the old Ingress? Was that the original?
Postgres is more like a Microsoft SQL. It would be like the closest thing I can compare that to.
Right.
It's supposed to be a little more enterprise ready and scalable, or not necessarily scalable, but enterprise ready compared to a MySQL. But they're both, I would say it's very similar to a SQL, MySQL.
Got it.
Now it's doing a bunch of things. It's creating database tables to store the contact form. It's doing proper database schemas, error validation, all of these things that you would normally have to do or have a developer do, just doing all for you right this second.
Right. And it was the evolution, I just Googled it, of the Ingress database, which probably dates the shit out of me. But those were like way back in the day. It was Oracle, Ingress, right? But it was really just because databases have been rows and columns forever. Yes. SQL, once Microsoft owns that, they're going to try to, have you use their tools to manage it. But I guess this is just such a great, really what AI can do now is just make the management tools easy on these things, right? It doesn't matter what database you have in the back end, as long as you can get this functionality, which is another thing that would have taken forever, right? So I think that's the thing that led up to the release of ChatGPT and all these other things, right? There was like the low code, no code movements and some of these other things where then you could build these admin sections, some of the sites. But now, since it's so user heavy, we can build a website in a weekend, which was unheard of, right?
Absolutely. And I would say the thing to caution everyone against is that at times these tools will not create the most secure version of your site. So it's always worth, if you're going to be pushing this out and you have money into it, or you have this connected to something that is costing you something, or things that you don't want to be broken into, that's the time to at least hire a developer just to double check your code and make sure that it's written in a way that's as secure as possible, because these will not always do the best thing. I've heard horror stories about some of these at times, but for stuff like this, I think it's really great. And there's a publish button here that we can publish, and everybody can. And this is a new button here, review security. So let's see what this does. So analyzing code base for security vulnerabilities. That's a new one, and I'm assuming it's added there because they've taken a lot of heat about it. And we have 1 credit left, so let's see. Hopefully this will finish.
Oh, so we've done all this for free on the free account.
Yes.
Wow, we've made 2 free websites just like that. And I think if you're planning on using the free version, you would prepare and say, here's my phone number, my address, my business type, here's the information I want you to put in. You might do that in advance.
And would you put those in the prompt?
I would.
Yeah, you would put them in the prompt. And the nice thing is that since they have this review security button nowadays, they're going to constantly keep that prompt as up to date as possible to check for the latest issues. So for instance, it found that there wasn't proper validation on the forms. So there's an old issue called SQL injection, but really all that means is that you can put data in a form field that's not necessarily there, and if you put the right string of characters in, you can get information back that you weren't supposed to be exposed to. So this recognizes that, and will adjust and fix and go around that to fix those problems. So let's just see, and then we can just implement these. Of course, it's going to cost. We don't have enough credits to do this, but you get 5 daily credits. So you could, in theory, create an account, get it mostly to where you want it to, and then over a few days, every time your credits refresh, you can just come back and keep adding to it without really costing anything. $25 a month isn't terrible, but 100 credits per month, I bet you it doesn't get you too far. That probably gets you up to your site fully launched and maybe a second one built as well.
But like you said, Brooks, in other years this cost thousands, and I can attest to having been billed $3,000 for a very simple website 6-7 years ago. So $3,000 that took weeks and weeks of many phone calls and emails that turned into months, or 90 minutes and $25. It's $2,500 down to $25, and it's
It's 4 cups of coffee. So just hold off for a week and get your Lovable subscription for 4 cups of coffee.
And you get that instant gratification. You get that instantly back of what you want, and you have some more control over it. And the nice thing is you can pull the code down if it starts to get really complicated, and that's when you want to pull a developer in, or maybe you're a developer yourself, and you can pull that down and make those changes. But the nice thing is that you can just publish this. And I'm going to publish it without the security review since we don't have any credits left. But you can also add your custom domain too. So if you have a .com registered, you can add that here at this point as well. And I will add this link to our page when this podcast is released on our actual catch-up page, so you can actually get in and play with this. But let's just see what this looks like here. It should just be the full screen version. Yep. With the backend connected as well, meaning that when I fill out this form, emergency repair, I need help. The basement is flooded. That's my email address. And I'm really impressed by tools like this because of how quickly you can get things up and how easy it is. They make it very easy for the user to get these things online. And again, if you were to traditionally do this, you would have to download the code, you would have to put it someplace, procure some kind of cloud service from some Google or Amazon or Microsoft, and then upload that data. And there's just a bunch of steps there. Honestly, I could build a site and get it published here faster than it would take me to just publish a site that's already built.
So one thing as well is if you want to do something that's a little bit more complex, you can also talk to Lovable and say, what do you need? What do I need to do? And what do you need in order for me to implement an AI chatbot, for example? And then it'll literally, you could ask it and then it will tell you what it needs. And then you could essentially have a conversation with it, and then it'll tell you the best thing that to be done. And then you take those steps, then you tell it, here's what I did, and then can you please implement? And then it'll do that. And then you essentially have a conversation with it, and you can essentially build out your site in the way that you want and try it out. So it's really a great tool for exploring and also learning how to build complex websites. Then once you get enough experience with it, you can start over if you feel like the complexity has muddled things up to the point. Because sometimes what happens is that through your learning process, the site creates a bunch of code that it's hard to edit. So like you hear about vibe coding, then there's vibe debugging, which is the process of trying to fix an error that comes up that creates a bunch of complex cascading problems. Sometimes it can be better to start over if you're trying to get super complex. But anyway, it's a great learning tool as well. So especially for building websites, with complexity, just by wading into it and trying it out and doing trial and error, I've learned a lot about building websites myself.
And what I love about the ability to quickly jump in here, make an edit, and publish is that might have been a back and forth with someone that was in charge of your website. And if you have an idea and you want to see that reflected on your site right away, you can just jump in here, put in the prompt, and then publish right away, and it's there. There's no going back and forth and waiting on things. That really makes the iterative process, like to your point about, oh, we can add a chatbot now, let's add that. Or we don't like how this contact form looks, we want that to be a text message to our phone when that comes in, or something of that nature.
So, fellas, before we wrap up for the 30-minute catch-up here, if you want Brooks to share my screen on StreamYard here, we'll have a look at the homepage. So for anybody wanting to look what else can be done, this is the lovable.dev, like development, lovable.dev homepage. So I'm not signed in. You can see at the top it says login. So this is the display of what else is going on, what people are using this tool for. So this is just the discovery, right? You can discover what people are doing. If I click these tabs at the top, like internal tools, I can see the tools people are making, or websites that people are making. This was working a second ago. I'll have to refresh. Here we go. There we go. So if you look at internal tools that people are making calendars, a way to check the capacity of something, a way to send bills, right? People are making websites like we were looking at. So it's not just that Lovable will make your website. If you click the personal tab, these are projects that people are making to do a portfolio that's custom, a whimsical password generator, a magic tool for gradient colors, drawing to 3 dimensions, some kind of Pong-like game, a futuristic chess game. If you look at consumer app, these are people who are making an app that is a business using lovable.dev in that same process. Something to track the sun and the moon, paint like you're Mondrian the painter, seemingly a Nintendo Pokemon battle. And then if you look at business to business app, these are people who are making applications for one business to another, or prototypes. The point being that there's a whole lot going on with lovable.dev that people are doing for seemingly $25. Like, there might be more complexity to it. There might be more in connecting databases and connecting intentions and learning the prompts. But for what used to cost thousands and thousands of dollars, you can now do for tens of dollars, or like Mike said, 4 cups of coffee. And even more so, you can go hire someone. The 3 of you have heard me say this before. Go hire someone and know that they can do it in a day for $100 and say, I have a $100 budget and 24 hours. How far can I get? And then go, wow, I would have chased down a $5,000 solution. And there's always someone that will take your $5,000. But there's also people that can do a solution for you in $80 in 2 hours. So have a look that you can do internet tools, websites, personal projects, consumer applications, business-to-business applications and prototypes, maybe in 2 or 3 hours for $100.
Well, and the neat thing about that site that you just showed is there was a little remix button. And if you click that, that'll load it into your account, and then you can start editing and modifying and changing what somebody else already built and then republish it. So you can save a ton of time that way too.
And those are projects people have publicized. I think it's key to emphasize that not every project that you make on there immediately goes to the public. That's my understanding.
Yes, that's correct.
So if you say, oh my goodness, I've made a custom project about my custom business's proprietary secret, it's my impression that you can use the settings and make sure that's not public.
You have to pay for that. So you essentially pay for the subscription to keep it private so it doesn't go public.
Right.
So.
Okay.
Excellent. And Broderick Crawford did post his Lovable page, which I think was interesting too, because it was more simplified. It was his LinkedIn profile, pieces of his work. So it's kind of a nice, overview, right? So it doesn't have to be as intense with all of the, it's catch up with the C, Broderick. No, with all of the, bells and whistles and forms, right? Because even what you did, Brooks, could seem, in Michael, a little intimidating for people, right? But you can just put it in, add my LinkedIn. And Brad, what you were mentioning before, if it is like a very regional business, if you just build all that into the prompt, then you probably wouldn't have to change some of these things, right? Yeah. So you can really front load the prompt, have it put in all you want. But even yesterday, I mean, I was on one of our think tanks I was leading, and somebody came in from Asia and was asking about website builders. So I just did a Lovable for the first time, and I was able, with the little AI, change my phone number from the 555 to the real one. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I think these things are just so easy. And use your LLM to direct you if you're having issues, or call one of us or reach out.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, guys, I think that was a good, quick overview. Next week, we'll talk through some of the video creation tools. But yeah, if you have any questions or anything, tools that we've missed or ones that you want to see, just let us know.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Step right up, it's time to hear the cleverest show of the year. AI catch up, brighter tone every week in your living room.